Hello, and welcome to Fusion Writing, where building character meets creating structure. This is Tuesday, our map day, and we get to share with you some important information about our topics this week. Victoria, I won't take up any of your time.
Okay, so recall from last week, the exercise suggestion that I gave you was to use opposites as a way of manipulating the reader through the story. Some of the examples that I suggested were contrasting anxiety or worry with calm or serenity, or perhaps someone who's abrasive or aggressive against something or someone who is centered or more balanced, okay? So let's continue down that road. I think as writers, sometimes we get stuck because we can't figure out, I know my character is here, but I don't know how to get them over to here. So for this week, the thing that I want you to consider, rather than opposites of things like calm versus anxiety, I want you to think about some kind of split in the story. Let me tell you what I mean. Let's say you've set up a story about a character who's moving in a particular direction. Let's say they need to make a decision about their job. Okay, so they're grappling with a professional life issue. And what I want you to do is I want you to bring that story up to a point. And what you're going to do at that point is you're going to insert a fork. Okay, and the opposites, rather than taking place in terms of perspective, like calm versus anxiety, the opposite is going to take place, stay with me, as a distance between short narration and long narration. Remember when we talked about narrative distance? That's the distance that the reader is from the character. What if you give your reader two options for how they experience the story? When that split happens, the first trajectory is some kind of close distance. Let's say, for example, you write a section where your reader is in the mind of that character. They're considering how crazy their boss is. They're considering how chaotic their work environment is. They're considering maybe they're not making enough money or they feel like they deserve better compensation. So your reader is very close to that character as they follow that trajectory, that thought train. So that's using a close narrative distance as the first point. For the second point, you can probably guess, I want you to then write a scene with far away narrative distance. So you're contrasting that closeness against its opposite, which is something further out. Perhaps to achieve that second arm, you're using another set of characters and they're talking about the character who's facing the decision. So you're pulling your reader back away from being inside the mind of the character trying to make the choice by using two other characters who are talking about that person. Because what's going to happen is your reader is either going to pick a fight with these two characters and say, hey, you shouldn't be talking about her that way. Why are you judging her for struggling with her job? Or maybe the reader sides with the two characters having the conversation and says, they're kind of right. She really shouldn't be dithering around about this. So what you're doing is you're manipulating the distance that that reader feels based on how you're writing those scenes. So that's your challenge for this week. This month is heavy intensive on the writing because I want you to start thinking about how can I control the speed at which that reader moves through the story, and also how can I control the story in the way that I tell it. So that's your homework. Work on those opposites of a close distance and a far out distance that are triggered by something that your character is grappling with, and see what you end up with. You never know. My guess is your character's going to do something unexpected and you might just make a discovery, which is always a good thing. Kathleen?
Oh, thank you so much, Victoria. What an interesting concept. I had never thought about using the narrative distance as a way to control the movement of a story, and I would never have thought of varying it within a given story. So that was very, very instructive. Well, we are continuing with the character trait of kindness. We are working our way very slowly through the empathy character traits. There's 13 of them in all. We're taking a month with every character trait. So it's going to be more than a year before we complete all of these. It's pretty hard to believe. but each one deserves its focus because they're different from one another. And they're different from one another in a way that is real within the human person. And because of that reality, they're part of how we're built, we can sketch them so easily that our readers will pick up on what is going on in the scene very, very readily. And that gives us the ability to stimulate our reader into reacting emotionally to the scene. So when I have my book, Writing with Emotion, and I don't show it very often, but the whole point of this book is, where are you writing those emotions? You're not writing them on the page. You're writing those emotions on your reader's heart. And that's what makes it so special. You're poking the reader's emotion points, and your reader is feeling their own emotions. And because the reader is feeling their own genuine, real emotions, they sense that your character is real. They project what they're feeling onto your characters, and your characters come alive. So that's the power. And that's why we spend so much time making these fine distinctions between the different character traits, because unless you get them just right, you don't hit that trigger point, you don't hit that emotion reaction point inside your reader. That's what we're aiming for, and that's why we're so careful with the definitions. Last week we talked about kindness, and we talked about how it's different from courtesy. Kindness requires a noticing. You're noticing a need, and you're putting yourself out there, and you're taking some risk. Your character isn't always sure how is their kindness gesture going to be met by the person they're trying to be kind to. Maybe they'll resent it. Maybe they'll be fearful of it. There's a risk involved. So what we're going to talk about today is, how do the voices change in the mind of the person who might be kind or might not be kind? Because the voices determine where the character trait is on the character profile diagram. So we're going to start, of course, where we always start, which is the rudder position. The rudder position is where the character is making up their mind. Are they going to act in a manner that is kind? Now, think about what the voices might be. Sometimes a person has to react in a split second. Something is about to topple, and if they're going to be kind, they've got to run over there right now and intervene. No, not hardly any time to think about it. Sometimes it takes a little bit of stepping back and pondering and thinking, really, well, am I going to be helpful in this situation if I step in, or am I just going to be creating more problems? And they're really actually going through a contemplation project. That is what the contemplation of a person who is going to be maybe inclined to be kindness might have to think about. Is this genuinely kind, or am I not being kind? I think I'm being kind, but I'm not really being helpful. That's the struggle of kindness. Well, there's another voice up there in the wing position where things are a little bit chaotic and flighty. Up there in the wing position, it's like, it's their problem. Don't bother. It's their problem. It's not going to help. Nothing ever helps. Let it go. Let it go. No. You're too busy. Others can take care of it. It's not your issue. That's the voice that says, don't look, just drop it. Don't think about it. That's up there in the wing position. We've got the other side of that. We've got the anchor position, where the first thought is, okay, how can I best help? What can I do here to help? Inclination is to help. Okay, the answer is yes. Now what? What do I need to do here? What will be the most helpful here? Then we're going to go to the other end, the pinnacle position. What's in the pinnacle position? Huh? I don't see anything. I don't see anybody having any troubles. Why not? Oh, gosh, I'm too busy looking only inside myself. I don't see past myself. It's like I don't see anybody having any problems. It's out of their, totally out of their head. They don't even look. They don't care. And then we have kindness in the base position. Kindness in the base position is just a person who's just warm and caring and generous. All of these other traits that you will probably find in other character traits coalesce in the base trait of kindness. The person is just kind from the bottom of their heart. This is he'll give you the shirt off his back character. The person who will drop everything he's doing and help his next door neighbor's cousin move. The person who's just generous and kind and warm. And I hate to use the word generous over there because it's another character trait, and we'll get to it, but they often go together. But they're just at the base of their being, they are kind. And those are all of the different sounds. And so the sound, what the character trait looks like and what the character trait sounds like, will often tell you where that trait is for your characters when you are building them. And so when you just want to portray this indifference of the wing position, that chaotic, selfish wing position, all you have to do is show the character saying, I'm too busy to get involved in that, or it never helps. All of these generality things that just are dismissive, the things that say, I don't have to think, I see the problem, but I don't have to deal with it. Those are your clues that the character trait is in the wing. And the character trait in the anchor has the opposite clues. Okay, what can we do here? It's going to be the best thing to do. Okay, how can we best proceed? And the character trait in the rudder, it's, I don't know if there's anything I can do here or not. I'd kind of like to help. But would it be helpful? I'm not sure. So you see the difference between the rudder and the anchor? Anchor starts out with yes. Okay, now what's the best? The base starts out, well, of course, and helps in situations where the anchor might say, isn't that going a little far? I mean, really, your next door neighbor's cousin? Come on. So you see each position has its own voice, and each position can be clued in along with the differences in the character traits. This gives you 5 different positions for each of your character traits. We have 28 character traits, 5 positions for 28 character traits. Whoa, that's a lot of possibilities to write with. That's why we take 1 character trait a month. Victoria, anything to add?
Holy moly! My brain had a little explosion as you were talking about that. I've been looking at these a long time alongside Kathleen and our group, and I had an aha moment, which is the base trait provides a root for a state of being. It's literally a state of existence. Well, as you're thinking about ways to move a reader through a story, I'm going to give you guys a bonus based on what Kathleen just taught us. And that is the distance or the difference between the state of resistance, right? If you've got it in that pinnacle position where you have a bit of resistance in the response of the character versus the state of energy that's produced, let's say, when it's a base trait and you're not looking at the obstacle, you're looking at the way through, right? It's energy versus resistance. That's another way of controlling the speed at which your character moves. If they're sitting and thinking and I don't know, and how do I help? That's all resistance, and that slows things down. If instead they're going chop chop, we got stuff to do here. Let's start loading up. Let's go, saddle up. That's a different energy that moves you quickly. So that's just another way of playing with those opposites that help you control how you move through a story. Guys, this stuff is gold. I'm just telling you, it's gold. Good stuff.
Wow, I never thought of the character positions as controlling narrative speed. And there it is. You've just shown us that exactly right. This is the dithering state, and the dithering state is always slow to act. Wow. Thank you so much for your wonderful insight. I'll probably, well, I don't want to say steal it. I will probably utilize it and hopefully remember to credit you.
Okay. But hey, if people want to find us, where might they look to see where you're stealing my work?
If you would like to see the theft in progress, come on over to LiLLiPub.org. It's where we hang out when we're not on YouTube land. So come on over to LiLLiPub. We meet every Saturday. Victoria leads us in fusion writing, where we have a wonderful session sharing our work, getting a chance to read the work of other budding writers. And if you join LiLLiPub, one of the treats that you will have when you come to the fusion writing meetings and you read the work of some of your fellow writers, you're going to watch a growth in power and in strength of their writing. You're going to look at how much progress each person is making, and you're going to be telling yourself, Wow, that could be me making that progress. And it could be you. So come on over to LiLLiPub. We'll see you. Bye-bye.